The Cincinnati Bengals will head to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs this Sunday, 3:25 kickoff, and I have a breakdown, a preview, and a prediction here on the channel. Where I want to start is with the Bengals. I want to start with the Bengals offensive line. That is a unit that to me does not look good. Amarius Mims, when healthy, will be good for the Bengals, but he appears to be out for this game. And so long as they have Orlando Brown on the roster, Amarius Mims will not be allowed to play left tackle. So that is going to be perhaps a sticking point for seasons to come for the Bengals. But these guys are very, very big. They have a jumbo offensive line in Cincinnati. They have right tackle Trent Brown, who goes 6'8", 380 pounds. Right guard Alex Kappa is 6'6", 310 pounds. Center Ted Karras is 6'4", 310. Left guard Cordell Volson, 6'6", 315. And of course, left tackle Orlando Brown is 6'8", 345 pounds. So it is a bit of a conundrum why they are the way they are. They are not great at running the football this season so far, well, through one game, but they have not traditionally been all that great at running the football. And you think that's the Great Wall of Cincinnati that they have in front of Joe Burrow, but they were not able to really slow down the Patriots' pass rush last week. I imagine that what is going to happen is that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to use speed to get to Joe Burrow. I think that would be a very solid strategy. Corner blitzes, Najee Johnson, who did not have any defensive snaps last week, I think could see the field this week. He's very, very fast. I believe 40-wise, he is the fastest of the corners still on the roster. Leo blitzes with Leo Chanel would make a whole lot of sense this week. He is not blazing fast, but he is a very fast guy and strong enough to hold his own, so it might be that the 1-2 punch of the speed plus the power with Leo Chanel is able to overcome that Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. It would be interesting to see him in the A-gap this week. I think we could. We heard Chris Jones talk a little bit about Leo Chanel in the A-gap after the Ravens game, and I think that might be something we see more going forward. It seems that we hadn't seen too much of that yet this season or last. So the last thing that I have on the Bengals offensive line is that Keion White last week had 2.5 sacks for the Patriots against the Bengals, and Keion White is similar-ish athletically to George Karlaftis. So we might see, which is, again, not a great big guy, not a particularly fast defensive end. This is a defensive end in Keion White, who a lot of people thought he was going to be a fit in Kansas City because he was a Steve Spagnuolo type defensive end. Ended up going before I think the Chiefs would have taken him. But interesting that he is the type of defensive end that a large and powerful offensive line should not have trouble with, but he still had the 2.5 sacks last week. Now, when the Bengals pass the ball, much has been made, obviously, of Joe Burrow and whether or not he is still injured. I still believe, I still contend that some of that may be phantom pain. That said, he did not have a very good game last week. The Bengals also appear to be without T. Higgins, but Ja'Marr Chase is still there. Ja'Marr Chase is one of the preeminent wide receivers in the NFL, so there's not too much to be contended with there. I don't think Trent McDuffie is going to follow Ja'Marr Chase, because if he was going to do that in this sort of prototypical cornerback fashion, we likely would have seen him do that with Zay Flowers last week. We did not see him follow Zay Flowers last week, and Zay Flowers is more of a physical matchup that would be favorable to Trent McDuffie than Ja'Marr Chase. The next guy in line there, I think, for Cincinnati is going to be Andre Josephus, who I was big on coming out of college, but he only had 25 targets and 15 receptions last season, totaling 116 yards, but he did score 4 touchdowns last season, a very large number when you only have 15. So basically 1 in 3 of his receptions ended in the end zone. He was a 6th rounder out of Princeton, very fast. The Billy Zane lookalike is a 4.3 guy. Here's the thing though, not a big rookie season, but last week we saw him get 6 targets, 3 receptions, and 26 yards. I think he is going to be moved up in the rankings here for the Bengals, going to get more targets, etc., moving forward. I think that's pretty much what the Chiefs are going to be looking at as far as the wide receivers for the Bengals. The next thing I want to talk about, though, a little bit is Mike Gesicki at tight end. It's an interesting case, right? There was a couple seasons there where I thought he was going to be the next big thing. He looked like he could have been the next big thing at tight end coming out of college even, and he had a couple of 700-yard seasons, but he has kind of fallen off in the time since. It was sort of one of these signings that I thought might have been sneaky good. Gesicki going to the Bengals this offseason. We will see. We will see if this Bengals offense can get a tight end up and going like Mike Gesicki. They have T. Higgins return. It could return to being a very dangerous Bengals offense. That is one of the weird things that we have noticed. We have seen with the Bengals the past few years is that they do start the season kind of slow. When the Bengals pass the ball, I think what we're going to see is a lot of press man. We're going to see some top over Jamar Chase while the defense tries to rattle Joe Burrow. Again, he only threw for 163 yards last week, did Joe Burrow. And he went down 3 times. So that is something that this Chiefs defense can take to heart. Getting pressure on Joe Burrow, rattling him, throwing him off of his mark, not letting the wide receivers have the time to get to their mark. But Joe Burrow last week did hit 8 different receivers. So while he was not stereotypical Joe Burrow, while he was not Joe Cool, he did still sling the ball around the yard a little bit. Ironically, with the hog mollies that these Bengals have, they're not going to, moving on to the Bengals running game, I don't think that the running game is likely to be an issue. Zach Moss, the running back, is an absolute unit at 5'10", 215, but last season was his best in the NFL. So he's not showing the signs of age you might see from a running back approaching his age. His best season last season for the Colts, however, was only 794 yards. And last week he had 9 carries for 44 yards and a touchdown. I think this week is going to be a dogfight, not a dogfight on the ground. I mean the World War I reference, a dogfight, as in this is going to be an aerial menagerie between these teams. I think that in the first half, even the Chiefs are likely to air the ball out a little bit, and I will get back to this in the final score prediction that I have for this game. So moving on to when the Chiefs pass the ball, Daxton Hill is the Bengals' version of L'Jarius Sneed. He is a big, strong, and athletic cornerback with a 4.38 40-yard dash, a 37-inch vertical, and they will send him on the blitz. He had a sack last week. I imagine that what the strategy will be for the Bengals going into this game is they're going to want Daxton Hill manned up a little bit on Rashee Rice. That is their bully corner against the Chiefs' bully wide receiver. I released an entire video a couple days back about Cam Taylor-Britt. So I think just to summarize a little bit of that video, I think that what we're likely to see from the Kansas City Chiefs is Andy Reid dreaming something up and Patrick Mahomes executing it in order to take advantage of Cam Taylor-Britt, because what you have is a guy who has gone out in the media, called out the Kansas City Chiefs, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can put any corner in the NFL on an island and probably turn him around at least once. Well, when you're the guy who's been talking all that smack and you are the one who gets exploited in that fashion, all of a sudden, you are drawing the ire of your teammates. All of a sudden, you get made to lose, and you are in a psychological spiral. So I think that they will have something drawn up for him, and it will be something that ends up. Remember the touchdown that was scored in front of Eli Apple, right? That was something that I think the offense went out there in order to do. He was talking all that stuff in the media, and they said, okay, we're going to do this to you. You will have to recover psychologically. Your teammates will have to recover psychologically. If you can get cornerback Mike Hilton on the field for the Bengals, he's 5'9", 184 with a 4.55 40 and a 33.5-inch vertical leap. This would be the perfect guy for one-on-one matchups with Justin Ross. I'm just saying, putting that out there can't happen, right? But that would have been a fruitful endeavor, I think, for the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Cornerback DJ Turner is a guy that I think we're going to see quite a bit of, probably, whose real name is Juan Drago. No kidding. So I don't know why you would ever go by DJ if your name was Juan Drago, but he runs a 4.26 40-yard dash, a 38.5-inch vertical, and a 10-foot 11-inch broad jump. I think this is the guy that we are likely to see most often manned up on Xavier Worthy, a guy that has the same type of speed, the same type of athleticism as Xavier Worthy. So if they can get those two on the field together, why would you leave any of your other cornerbacks on an island with Xavier Worthy if you have that guy in your back pocket? Here's the main thing, however. The middle of the field looked weak against the Patriots last week. That was where a lot of the passing yards for that Patriots offense came from. Dinking and dunking in the middle of the field. That was something we also saw early against the Ravens from the Chiefs. They were able to do it a little bit all game, but once they got rolling with it, they really got rolling with it. And Rashee Rice was just looking like an all-world wide receiver on those first couple of drives. So it strikes me that that is probably where we're going to see a lot of Patrick Mahomes doing work. Now, this could be a very big problem for the Bengals because the Chiefs do have Rashee Rice, who is a great target in that middle of the field. They do have Travis Kelce, who was a little bit invisible last week, but remains Travis Kelce. Xavier Worthy has underrated ability in the middle, well, maybe not the middle of the field, but the middle range of the defensive backfield. So you could see him 8 to 15 yards downfield as opposed to the deep stuff or at the line of scrimmage stuff. And I think what's going to happen is that the Chiefs are going to open up the game really targeting that middle of the field area. So talking about the Chiefs offensive line, when the Chiefs have the ball, the Chiefs offensive line, nothing about the Bengals defensive line scares me too much. I don't think that if we see plays without blitzes, if we see just a base look from the Bengals defense, I don't think they're going to have terribly much luck against the Chiefs offensive line. Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals, defensive end, right defensive end, versus Kingsley Suamataia will be interesting because he's exactly the type of defensive end that you would dream up if you wanted to see if Kingsley Suamataia is good at the things Kingsley Suamataia is supposed to be good at. He's 6'4", 270 with a 4.65 40-yard dash. So, through the process of this game, if Kingsley Suamataia is able to really take on Trey Hendrickson and hold his ground, stand his ground, hold his own, there we go. If he is able to do that, it would be a good sign that Kingsley Suamataia is where the Chiefs want him to be. He is in a good position to really learn this season and get better at his game rather than having to spend a whole lot of time figuring out if he can do the things that he was good at college in the NFL. Left defensive end Sam Hubbard had a 4.95 40-yard dash, so this is a power guy. This is not a speed guy. Hopefully, Jawaan Taylor does not find it necessary to take that extra step backwards. Now, he is going to be an interesting case as well because he had a 4.95 40-yard dash. He's a little bit older than that now. He has 35 and a half sacks in the NFL. So he is a true power rusher. He is effective. Jawaan Taylor might need help with chips in this game. Jawaan Taylor is an athletic right tackle. He is not really well equipped for the power game. Now, we could see the Chiefs hamper Hubbard without chipping him, but with utilizing the other half of the field on the offensive line, not allowing him to really factor into the game, whether that is through rushing the passer or stopping the run. So what do I imagine when the Chiefs do run the football? Ramondre Stevenson last week went 25 for 120 yards. That's a 4.8 yard average and a touchdown. He did that for the Chiefs last week. He is 6 foot tall, 227 pounds. He is a dynamo. He is a thick running back and a very powerful guy. Isaiah Pacheco, Carson Steele, and Samaje Perine all utilize power running type strategies on the football field. They are power running guys. So it may be that this week the running game is actually the deciding factor in this football game. And I want to get to the final score prediction here. Chiefs win 35-21. Emotions and hatred are going to keep the Bengals in this game, in my opinion, for the entirety of the first half. If the Chiefs are able to stop them from really finding an identity in this game, from really running away with it, I don't think they're going to run away with anything. I think the game is likely to be tied or close to tied at halftime. But that's where it ends for the Bengals, because I think what's going to happen is that the Chiefs will get the upper hand, and then they will lean on their power running game in order to wear the Bengals down. This is the classic problem that the Kansas City Chiefs had a couple seasons ago. Probably 2018, 2019, maybe 2020, when they were able to build big leads but could not hang on to them. The Bengals this season, it seems, may be tailor-made toward, Cam Taylor-Britt made toward being beaten in this way. If the Chiefs are able to build a lead on the Bengals, they have 3 power running backs that they can just feed the ball to in the middle of the field, wear out the Bengals defense, wear out the middle of that Bengals defense. All of a sudden, it's 3rd and 3, and you have Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce that you can pick apart over the middle of the field because those defensive linemen are too tired to jump. Those linebackers are too tired to cover. And it could end up being, at that point, a runaway win for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is my final prediction, 35-21 victory for the Kansas City Chiefs over the Cincinnati Bengals. And if that happens, guys, the Bengals, they've been here before. right? They have been here before with a slow start to the season. Very difficult to pull yourself up by the bootstraps after 2 losses, both of them being in the AFC, one of them being to the guys who are likely to have the number 1 seed. And that guy that is likely to have the number 1 seed, the Kansas City Chiefs, have already beaten the other top dog in the AFC, the other supposed top dog in the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens. So it could be a long season for the rest of the AFC looking up at the Kansas City Chiefs after just the second week of the year, should the Kansas City Chiefs be able to pull out the victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, a video every day for over 600 days. So if you find yourself here by chance but not design, I hope to have you back for the next one.